Who have been the biggest over and underperformers in the Championship this season? Let's take a look. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Excited to jump into this one. Before we do get into anything though, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the TikTok account. If you're not following, make sure to go ahead and check it out. We are posting regularly over on there at the moment, so if you want to get a little bit more extra content, make sure to give the TikTok a follow. But what we're going to be doing for today's video is I've taken each Championship club's squad value, ranked every team from 1 to 24, and I've then compared every team's squad value to where they currently are in the league table, which then goes ahead and tells us how much each Championship club has either over or underperformed by so far. 300 likes on today's video would be massively appreciated, but without any further ado, let's jump in. And it will probably come to no surprise to absolutely anybody that Norwich have been the biggest underperformers in the Championship so far. Using Transfermarkt figures, Norwich have the 4th most valuable squad in the Championship, and they currently find themselves 17th in the league, which gives them an overall underperformance of 13 positions, which is absolutely huge when compared to everyone else. Everyone expects David Wagner to be out of a job come this latest international break. A lot of people thinking that this game against Cardiff at the weekend will be his final game in charge. And Norwich did show some signs of promise in the early stages of the season, but the tail off has been absolutely ridiculous over these last few weeks. As the second biggest underachievers in the league this year, we've then got Coventry, who have been regularly punching above their weight, but this season has sort of gone against the script, obviously. Lost their two best players in the summer, with Gyökeres and Hamer both departing. It was a massive overturn of that squad. Plenty of money has been spent on it, and so far it just doesn't appear as if Mark Robins has found the natural balance between attack and defence. Not quite sure he knows his best starting 11 yet, and several of those new signings are still sort of finding their feet there. I obviously got to see Coventry up close and personal the other weekend when they came to Deepdale, and while you can see some signs of what they're trying to do, it's nowhere near as cohesive as a team as it was last season. They've got their 11th most valuable squad in the Championship, but they're currently 20th in the league. 22nd place, we've got Watford. I did expect them to be fairly low down on this list. They've got the 8th most valuable squad in the Championship, which, to be honest, I thought maybe would be a little bit lower. They obviously lost quite a bit of talent over the summer, and they've not really been able to recapture that spark so far. They have been on a solid unbeaten run of late, but nothing too eye-catching, and their position of 16th still gives them an underperformance of 8 places based off their squad value. In 21st place, we've then got QPR. They have a squad value which ranks them 18th in the Championship, but they're currently sitting second bottom, giving them an overall underperformance of 5 places. Now, a lot of people, myself included, did expect QPR to be up against it this season with Ainsworth, but what this goes ahead and shows is that there is more talent in that QPR squad than what was getting brought out of them by Ainsworth. Obviously, it's now up to Cifuentes to really go ahead and change the tide there. There were some early signs of encouragement from his first game in charge. 20th place, we then got Swansea, also with an underperformance of 5 places so far. They've got the 9th most valuable squad in the Championship, but that's only good enough for them to be sitting 14th in the Championship right now. Swansea very much been an up and down side so far. It was a bit of a disastrous start that Michael Duff got off to in the Swansea dressing room, but things have slowly picked up from that point. Middlesbrough sit 19th in this ranking, another side who is playing catch-up because of their slow start to the season, but the building blocks have been falling in place of late. Middlesbrough have the 7th most valuable squad in the Championship, and they currently sit slap bang in the middle of the table, giving them an underperformance of 5 places so far. Now, I think if a lot of people were to predict the Championship table from this point until the end of the season, I think a lot of people probably would have Borough in their top 6. I think we've seen enough signs of encouragement from them, especially throughout that recent unbeaten run they've had, to suggest that they will be in the top 6, but they're just another side who's making up for a bad start. As we slowly start to creep up the table here, we're getting towards the sides that are almost matching their expectations for what their squad's valued at and where they currently sit in the league table. Hull rank 18th in this regard. They do have the 6th most valuable squad in the Championship. They currently sit 9th in the table, but this region of the table in real life is obviously very close, and one win for Hull will fire them straight back up that league table. So far, based on these opening matches, they've had an underperformance of 3 places, but it is still very tight right around this region. Sunderland ranked 17th in this regard. They've been on a bit of a dodgy run of form recently under Tony Mowbray. They've got the 5th most valuable squad in the Championship. They currently sit 8th in the table. Now, Sunderland, another club who I think most of us expect will be there or thereabouts in the promotion picture this season, but based on the monetary value of that squad, there has been a slight underperformance recently, which is largely thanks to this bit of an inconsistent run they're currently on. Southampton have been looking good recently under Russell Martin. Plenty of late goals have been scored. With that being said, they have slightly underperformed given what their squad's currently valued at. Southampton do have the 2nd most valuable squad in the Championship. They currently sit 4th in the table. Now, no surprise that a club coming down from the Premier League has one of the most valuable squads in the Championship. While they did lose plenty of talent over the summer, they also retained more players than I probably thought they would have. We are seeing more from that Russell Martin side at the moment, but whether or not they can bridge the gap between themselves and the top two, we'll have to wait and see over these next few months. In quite a bit of controversy at Birmingham this season with the dismissal of John Eustace to bring in Wayne Rooney. Obviously, Wayne Rooney still looking for his first win as Birmingham boss. With all that being said, Birmingham currently sit 15th in the Championship. They've got the 14th most valuable squad, so they are pretty much there or thereabouts of where they should be in terms of what their squad's currently valued at. It is an underperformance of 1 place, but that's very marginal in a league as tight as the Championship. 14th on this ranking, we've actually got Millwall. Now, Millwall made the bold decision earlier in the season to part company with Gary Rowett. Just felt as if things around the Den had gone a little bit stale under Rowett, and now it'll be up to Edwards to get that bit more of a spark out of this team. With all that being said, I think that Rowett regularly had Millwall sort of punching above their weight in the top half of the Championship, and based on their current squad value, they are there or thereabouts of where they should be. They have the 17th most valuable squad in the Championship, and they currently sit 18th in the table. Next up then, we head into a block of teams who are all matching where they should be exactly for what their squad's currently valued at and where they currently sit in the Championship. So I thought I'd group all of these sides together in the middle of the table. Huddersfield sit just above the relegation zone right now, and based on their squad value, that's exactly where they should be. Now, Darren Moore, I don't feel has completely won over that Huddersfield fan base so far, obviously coming in off the back of a very popular figure leaving in Neil Warnock. He was always going to have quite a tough job to go ahead and pull off, but based on what that squad's worth, they are right now probably whereabouts they should be, but there is the fear that perhaps they could be one of those sides to drop into the bottom 3 if one of the 3 below them does improve. For Sheffield Wednesday, it's been a dismal start to this season, but based on the squad value, that's exactly where they should be right now. They have the lowest valued squad in the Championship, and they currently sit rock bottom of the league. And then we've got 2 of the relegated clubs from the Premier League also sitting exactly where they should be in terms of what their squads are valued at. Leeds have the 3rd most valuable squad in the Championship. They currently sit 3rd in the table. Leicester, understandably so, have the most valuable squad in the Championship, and they sit top as well. Still the favourites to go on and win the league title this season. Then as we get into the top 9, this is where we start to get into some of the overperformers of this Championship season so far. And in 9th place, we actually have Rotherham. Despite them currently occupying a spot in the bottom 3, they've still overperformed where their squad's currently valued at. They have the 2nd lowest squad value in the league. They sit 22nd, which gives them a +1 in this overall ranking. Now, with Rotherham, the budgets they're usually used to in terms of transfer expenditure, although I know they spent a bit in the summer, and in terms of the wages they usually hand out, the Millets will regularly be up and against it. Whether or not they survive this season, though, it remains to be seen. Blackburn under John Dole Thomason have had a slight overperformance so far this season. They've got the 12th most valuable squad in the Championship, slap bang in the middle of the table. They currently find themselves 10th in the league. Bit of a dodgy start that Rovers got off to, but they've been on a decent run recently, stringing some good results together. Have played some really good, attractive, eye-catching football along the way as well. Stoke are making up for a slow start to the season, but they've started to put together those consistent results recently, which has led to an overperformance right now. Stoke's squad value ranks them 15th in the Championship, and in real life they currently find themselves 13th, giving them an overperformance of 2 places so far. This has been a bit of a whirlwind of a season for Stoke look, up until this point, it was a bit of a crazy summer transfer window. At one point, it seemed like Neil had just lost things there, but he was competing with a few injuries. But now, having won 3 of their last 4 matches, things seem to be back on the up again. As the 6th biggest overperformers in the league this year, we then have Plymouth Argyle. Their squad value ranks them 22nd in the league, and they currently sit 19th, giving them an overall overperformance of 3 places so far. Now, Plymouth have been plenty of fun, arguably one of the funnest sides to actually watch in the Championship. They concede plenty of goals, but also get into plenty of goal-scoring positions themselves. 5th biggest overperformers have been West Brom. Their squad value dictates they should be 10th in the league, whereas in reality they currently sit 5th. Been on a good run recently, and especially considering all the turbulence behind the scenes at West Brom in the summer, we really have to hand it to Carlos Corberán and what he's been able to get out of that baggy squad so far. Been up against a lot, but so far he has been delivering the results on the pitch, and if they maintain this between now and the end of the season, a 5th place finish would represent an excellent season for West Brom in my eyes. As we get into the top 4, this is where we get into some really big overperformances for the season so far. In 4th place, we've got Cardiff. Their squad value dictates they should be 13th in the league, and to be honest, I think the vast majority of us probably predicted Cardiff to be even lower than that this season. But despite their mid-table ranking for squad value, they currently sit on the verge of the top 6, 7th in the table right now. Errol Bulut's been able to get a tune out of that squad. It was really quite a productive transfer window they had in the end, despite the embargo, and all that has led to an overperformance so far. Then, as the 3rd biggest overperformers in the Championship this season, we have Bristol City, and I think this is why the dismissal of Nigel Pearson was so controversial within the Bristol City fan base, because they have been regularly punching above their weight in terms of the resources that Pearson has been handed, how he's had to cut the wage bill over the years and really work within his means. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited to see how Liam Manning can take that squad forward, but the foundations have certainly been set by Pearson. They have the 20th most valuable squad in the Championship, so nowhere near the top half. Despite that, they currently sit 11th in the league, giving them an overperformance of 9 places as things stand. Claiming the 2nd spot on today's video, we then have my side, Preston North End. For squad value, we rank 16th in the Championship, and I think that would have been a reasonable prediction that a lot of North End fans probably would have given you at the start of the season. But we have gone far beyond that so far, and even despite a dodgy run of form recently where we went 7 or so games without a win, we still find ourselves in the top 6, giving us an overall overperformance of 10 places. Now, Lowe was backed in the summer transfer window a lot more than our recent managers have been. I think it was a really productive month of business that we got done in the end. While the football at times still isn't great, you certainly can't argue with that league position. But I think everyone knew this was coming. In 1st place and blowing everyone else out of the water as the biggest overperformer so far this season, of course we have Ipswich Town. They have the 19th most valuable squad in the Championship. Despite that, they currently sit 2nd in the Championship, an overall overperformance of 17 places, which is absolutely ridiculous. And this is by no means a fluke or anything like that. It's down to their excellent coaching of Kieran McKenna, a club who's been on an upward trajectory over these last couple of years, and they've just taken that and really flown with it in the Championship. A lot of those players from League One seamlessly making the step up to the Championship. And while you could probably argue the performances of late probably haven't been quite up to the standard of how they were playing a month or so ago, you still find a way to get those goals over the line and get those performances ending in results. And regardless of whether or not they hold on to a spot in the top 2 come the end of the season, this has already been beyond any Ipswich fans' wildest imaginations, I'm sure. But guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. I will be interested to get your thoughts on this one in the comments down below. And if you've not already, make sure to go ahead and like, and do check out the TikTok account. But apart from that, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.